Yes, good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining this session. This will be like a session filled with a little bit of fun, breaking the ice, because it might look a little bit serious, but we'll make it more fun. So the agenda will be why we're innovating now, what's happening, what's the fourth industrial revolution, differentiation between invention and innovation, the types and characteristics of innovation, the process, design thinking, future careers and demand that might be interest for you, and how Amazon innovates. I'll bring a couple of real world stories and some of the examples and demos in Bahrain and in the region and the worldwide on Amazon. So if you want to start with innovation, you want to explore an idea, and you need to differentiate, because you're coming to a hackathon and there are two ways of innovating. Either you innovate for an opportunity, or you innovate to solve a problem. And we will discuss this forward and to tell you what is the difference and how. Once you define the problem or the opportunity, you start defining the solution. We have a methodology called working backward. We start with the customer. We do design thinking, we do empathy, and we take the role of, like, we put 1 day in the life of this customer. We call it customer journey, and we try to simulate the problem in order to understand it more. We don't start with technology. We come to technology later once we define, and I'll show a couple of examples. Once we define the problem or the opportunity and we start with the design thinking, we start building, and then how we build a digital offering for that. So I'll give you just a quick video and to tell you why I'm bringing this.
التليفون النهارده اتجنن، كل ساعة يرن ويطلع لي واحد ويقول لي عايزين سواق.
بيقول لك ايه؟
بيقول عايزين سواق.
المشروع نجح. المشروع نجح.
مشروع ايه؟
قولي لي الاول كام تليفون ضرب؟
ما تتكلم، انت هتجننا ليه؟
بس انا النهارده ابتديت حياتي من جديد. عملت شركه لتشغيل السواقين بالساعه. اصل في ناس كتير عندهم عربيات وما عندهمش فلوس كفايه يدفعوا 100 سواق. بيسوقوا بايديهم. يروحوا مكاتبهم الصبح وتفضل العربيه ملطوعه قدام الباب طول النهار. يبقى اللي عايز سواق يروح مشوار مع العيله يتصل بينا. نبعت له سواق ياخد اجرته بالساعه، والساعه بريال. والنهارده نزلت اعلان صغير في الجرايد وما كنتش فاكر المشروع هينجح بالسرعه دي.
وطبعا نزلت نمره تليفون البيت في الاعلان.
ايوه بس
يعني بيتنا بقى جراج.
دي عاملة تعملها يا ممدوح.
انت مجنون. لازم تعرف ان البيت ده فيه بنات، ولما تنشر نمره التليفون في الجورنال كانك عملت من البيت دكان فيه بنات، فيه امك واخواتك. اسمع.
So I brought this example because Uber, and if you can see this movie, like it was Egyptian movie in 1961, and this is like La Yutfi Shams, the name of the movie, and they talked about the idea of Uber, and that time the idea didn't work. There's a full workshop training course we give on this video itself. It's the operation model, is the operating model, it is the finance model, it is the business model, it's the whole system together, and why it didn't work. Why I'm saying that today Uber runs on AWS and it runs on the cloud, and those are the things that we need to differentiate. So just to give you an idea about that. So in a brief, there's a professor, Mark Perry in Michigan University. He did a study on the companies that between the top 500 largest companies in the world between 1955 and 2015, and he found out only 61 companies out of 500, which 12% stayed. Why? Because this is of destructive creative destruction of fuels economy, which is like innovation, and that shows you that innovation is happening. And if you can see, within the past 15 years, the top companies in the world are all IT companies, except one, which is Aramco. So that gives you that IT and innovation that drives things. So there's in a brief, PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers company. It's a consulting firm, and they did a study around 5,000 CEOs around the world, and they asked them, what is driving or changing and affecting your business in the coming years. And 86% of them, they said technology will advance their world. And that's why we're focusing here about technology, but why this is happening, what's happening. And if you can see here, and this explains it, this is like a baseline of 2007 as price. Most of the technologies that affecting on the right hand side of the industries, most of them is around 99% cheaper than 2007, and this enabled a lot of technology. I'll bring an example. I'll take one or two examples now. Let's take the drones, and I'll show it in forward a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about the smartphones. We'll talk about sensors. We'll talk about virtual reality. I brought some examples for you, but you can see that what's happening. So if we look at the slide, the fourth industrial revolution, and for you to know, it has been announced 2016 in December and World Economic Forum in Davos. And if you can see the steam and water first one, the labor and mass production 2, and 3 that people still think we are living it is the IT and automated production. But 2016 came the fourth industrial revolution, which talks about blurring the divide between physical, biological, and digital divide, which means we will have, I'll show you a couple of examples that it merges the imagination with the real, with the brain, and the virtual world, and how we can control. I'll give a quick short video around it, and we'll discuss it after that. As you can see, with the physical fingers, he's impacting physical world through virtual means, and it controls voice and hand gesture. And I'll tell you about the technology and how it is cheaper.
Lumos. Nox.
If you watch this carefully, and this is important, if you watch this one, and this is exactly shows that how virtual means they controlled a physical object. And this can be like, for example, a gate, a fire extinguisher, a well, it is a bridge, anything can happen over the cloud. And this used to be a friend of mine who did similar project, used cost $2 million. This one with the open source code, I can share it. It costs less than $15. That shows why innovation is driven further. So let's talk a little bit about the metaverse, because I'm going to show you an example. The metaverse, if you heard that, let's say Facebook changed their name to Meta, and now metaverse is in the front, but it's not something new. But I'll show you, it's like collective virtual open space created by the convergence of virtual and physical reality. It is physically persistent and provides enhanced immersive experience. I gave you an example. I'll give you other two examples, but it is like buying digital currency, virtual homes, gaming, virtual social experience, and all of that. So these are the things that happening, and this is all of these things from Gartner is the infrastructure, gaming, digital assets, social media, and workspace. So all of these things around metaverse, I just brought this for you, and I want to show you a quick video to show you how much the brain can be fooled. This is also like a fun thing just to show you. So if you have any question, I can explain around the technology, how it fools the brain, and the brain up to 95% as brain scientifically cannot differentiate between reality and imagination, and it can be fooled. And this is one way. But if you look at it, and there's another thing I saw on the news, and it's funny. Look at this also. This one also, he knows he was like in a booth watching, playing with the game, and you can see this guy broke his nose, although he was in a booth playing on a game, imagining that he's climbing a mountain, and he fell and he broke his nose. And that shows you how much the brain can be full. But it was not only for people. I'm showing you something funny, and this is even reality. In January 2022, that was in the newspaper that cows. Sorry, there's a chat. Something. Okay. So there was like a cow, a farmer, he puts this virtual reality goggles on cows, and he played music and showed that the background is a green pasture and soft music, and it yield 35% more milk and calm cows. And that shows you how this brain works and where the world is coming. So let's talk about invention. Invention is like defined that creation of product, or introduction of a new process for the first time. It's look like اختراع. It's something like you've invented something, but innovation is improving on something significantly that the existing products on process or service, and we'll talk about it. There's one term that you need to talk about is exnovation, and it's in reality is the maturity of the innovation, and it means that you cannot innovate more. This exists in some old system that you still see it running for maybe 20 years, like airplane engines, like Mercedes, when they do the car for, they manufacture it for 10 years or something like that. So this is something in general, but let me tell you what if someone asks you what's innovation in philosophical manner, it says connecting two things on a deeper and more meaningful level. And I'm going to show you an example. But also you are coming and solving a problem or an opportunity, you need to make it a new or novel way. That's a practical and business way, and that provides more value, better experience, and in a profitable manner. So I promised you about the drone. If we take it like as granted, if it is an invention by itself, we used to play with it, but doesn't do us anything. But innovation, when you merge it with integrating two things in a more and deeper, more meaningful level, it means like here it has the camera, the GPS, the batteries, the location, the handles, and it can carry emergency kit for an accident that you send it immediately and faster. So this is innovation, multiple things. If you look at this, they merge this with the hose, water hose, and it can fight fire, put fire off as an extinguisher in high scrape buildings. And this shows you integrating more things to make it more meaningful. The drone taxi is coming, and if you look at it, also like the fighting is not only fire, not delivering goods, it's like pesticide, fertilizers, in farming, agriculture, a lot of these. So when you merge two technologies together in a more and deeper manner, this is innovation. So usually we innovate on products, process, or business model, and this will come to you. And you have questions to ask when you start to innovate and come up with an example for your hackathon. You need to look at how can we reach customer more effectively? How can we make service more affordable, larger customer segment? Is our product easy to use? Because even the process is the ease of use. What the issues are the clients facing? This is the problem. Should I do the business model, the payment, the delivery, the last mile, all of these things? So these are the things. Now, if you look at innovation, and this is clear, there are 4 levels of innovation. Either you innovate incrementally, or they call it incremental, which is like adding some new features. But if you evaluate, you create new market or new segment or new technology. Breakthrough is the experimentation with something like almost new, but integrating two things together. It's a breakthrough. We say Uber is transformational and breakthrough. And if you say transformation is the new things that hasn't been done before. If anybody has a question, please send it on the chat or send it by to the host, and I can reply to you on that. So the starting place, you start with the vision and mental model. there's a vision, and this is like something you put it in pen, and you need to be flexible, be stubborn on the vision, but flexible on the details. When you have a vision about something, either to solve a problem or to tap into an opportunity, you start with that. Then the mental model, which is like discussing it with beginners, you go to listening, history, science fiction. I'll give you an example. Kindle, Fire TV, Amazon Studios idea came from digital team, and most of the things that happened, like Alexa, came from Star Trek. Star Trek was an idea, and we generated idea, we made it a product. So this is like something how you generate ideas. Design thinking, this is for you at universities. I think they teach it in university as a course. This is like iterative method to understand people and put questions and redefine problems and develop creative models, test solutions. And this is something called non-linear, and it has different things. It has the main standard one, which is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And you need to do that for every solution or prototype or technology you need. And they are like around 15 design thinking methods from UK, from IBM, from KPMG. They are doing like little bit their own flavor. But if you look at number 8, which is the standard one, and number 9, which is by Dr. Legita, is like what is working, what if I can do different, what wows the people, and what works. And this is the reality. If you look at this, this is something I did for a while, research in my MBA around entrepreneurship and design thinking. This is from the Global Institute of Innovation. It's like how to iterate and make sure that the idea is good. You start with the strategy, as we said, the vision. You capture ideas, we call them the funnel. Then you evaluate and select the best suitable idea, you iterate it. Then once you do that, you initiate, and then you pilot it and you scale it. And this is the way, that's a systematic approach to filter ideas. You have hundreds of ideas, you need to funnel them, qualify less and qualify less, and then choose one and work on it. This is like from AWS, how we work in our mechanism. We work process, I'll show it to you, working backward, press release, frequent asked questions, how to do architecture for you, microservices, loosely coupled, all of that. And the culture, we have culture of innovation, and I'll tell you about experimentation and two pizza team. So with this methodology and our mechanism, we are able to do 50 million deployments in a year, which means we have thousands of small teams. We use microservices architecture. We have continuous iterative delivery and multiple environments that may enable us to do 50 million deployment a year. So I want to mention something. This is Jeff Bezos, and he mentioned, quoting him, something important. It says, it is not an experiment if it is going to work, which means you should fail several times in technology in order to reach the right one. When Thomas Edison said he didn't fail 1,000 times to invent the lamp, ingestion lamp, he said, I found 999 ways that didn't work. So that's how we look at it. We start with the customer and work backward. We ask important questions. Who is the exact customer? Is it a problem or opportunity? What are the most important benefits? Is it a need or want? Is it how the experience will look like? And this is something we create. We frame the challenge. I'll give you an example, a real example that we do, how we create a customer. If anybody heard about Amazon Go, we have around now, I think 2,000 shops around the world. It belongs to Amazon, but how the world started, this is started with, to solve the problem, the customer was employees and young generation, youth like you, who wanted to they wanted to buy something quick. And if you look at this, these are the example, and they want to buy few things quickly when they want to grab on the corner, but they have to fight crowd. And this is a problem. When they say we have to, it means they have to fight crowds. But if you look at also the opportunity, the same people, they want to spend short time during their break. So when they want to buy, so we have a problem. They have queue, and they want, the opportunity is they want to spend. So how we frame the challenge? If we say we want to improve the retail experience, it's something too broad. If we say tap, pay, and credit, is too narrow. If we say use automated, not thinking big. But what happened, and this is real case, we eliminated the whole checkout process. So what happened is now people without any line, they tap into their credit card, they pick anything and they leave. And this is happening today. But how this started, for you to tell you the accumulated, this started in Brazil with one of our solution architect. He went, a hotel asked them that they face problem. They have 3,500 rooms and they face problem because checkout at between 12 and 1 and they cannot do the inventory for the fridge in the room. And he worked on the sensors, cameras, weight, price, and it prints immediately the bill. And that was the base in order for us to do the Amazon Go. And this Amazon Go was considered like an invention or innovation, but also it didn't start end there. This is like, as you can see, there's no cashiers, nothing. You just tap your credit card at the beginning and you pick anything and you go home. And this is in Whole Foods today implemented. Now they implemented it, something called walkout. And if you look at in the yellow, this is like for a pharmacy, like Boots or something. You go in and you buy out and you go out completely, walk out. They sell it to other people. It's not only us. Now we sell the technology to others. So if you like for example, Carrefour or Tesco or Boots or Safeway or whatever, you can have this container. This one is in an airport and you can just walk in and go out, and they buy the technology now. And this is from Forbes. It says that the Amazon is already the greatest retail innovation in the next 30 years. And this is just walkout. So how do we work on a challenge? As we said, we identify the problem, we engage, we define it, we prototype it, and we scale. And this is our methodology from design thinking. This is I said, the leadership principles, culture of innovation. We look at the success brings broad responsibility and the example challenges. I'll bring one example here. If you look at the third one, from the strawberry, the 70% of the strawberry in the world comes from the States, from California, and they had a problem. They had 26 types of insects, 22 of them only beneficial, but 4 of them are harmful, but they couldn't tell. It's a huge farm, so we created for them a small mobile application with chatbot camera. They take the camera and it send it to a dashboard, and it shows that this type, it recognizes on the cloud that this is a harmful insect, where it is, where is the closest people to fight it, and they do that immediately. And that cost them around $600 million of lost strawberry. Sample of challenges. These challenges were done in Bahrain, and these are, most of them are working now. VoiceMate is the first one in the world that translate the sign language, and I'm going to show it example. Translate the text into sign language and sign language into text, and created a video conferencing tool for any deaf or mute person that can join a video call, translate the sign language into voice and the opposite. Mona chatbot, I'll speak a little bit Arabic English, is a chatbot for Ministry of Municipalities that enables people to get the proof of address certificate. It's a mandatory certificate. With the COVID-19, they could not get it. That's why we managed to do a chatbot for them to do it from 3 days into 2 minutes. Arduna is like another solution, ground station service, connecting with satellites, يشبك مع الأقمار الصناعية and the images, and can define on the spot any place. If I want to say how many swimming pools I have in Egypt, how many green areas, how many palm trees, how many solar panels, how many, let's say, lakes, how many cities, all of these things can happen in this, and it was done. Shahadati is another solution that using blockchain, and you can have your certificate. If you go to get hired, you go anywhere, it just a QR code. They can tell if your certificate is authenticate. It's stored on general distributed ledger on blockchain. Midar is one of the very innovative solution. It can tell about fish tanks, the temperature, if anything happens, if the oxygen, the temperature, salinity, pH, or anything happens in a tank, it immediately rectify, and on the spot, like robotic, it can add oxygen, add water, cold water, hot water, and do it. This is something very big. Miqyas also is a solution for IoT that captures air quality around traffic lights, and it can tell what is the pollution, it is dangerous, what solution, and can be shared. These are solutions done by students like you at universities as senior projects. So what we do in general, we create a press release, which means like we go into the future and say we want to create this, and this is how it's going to happen, and this is how we're going to do it. And we answer the question, we do visual. This is something, we create a story for you. When you create a story, people will understand that this is a problem, this is the intended solution, this is how we did it, and this is the impact. And this is done by students like you in a software called Storyboard. That if you need, I can also share it with you on the chat. Let's talk a little bit for you, because now you are at the stage in the universities. What are the jobs that are going to disappear? Some people, they say that if you look at this, they said here that they said that between 2009 and 19, they said that these jobs, the pilot and the photographer job disappeared. But in reality, it's not true, because there are new jobs. There are people flying drones. Their software and developer, hardware engineer, sales, marketing, operation, management, and maintenance and customization. And this is like jobs created. So if you say 2 jobs were lost, there are like several jobs were created. And there are some jobs that, according to career advice from Firecraft, it's like these are jobs that coming. You'll see human machine integration specialist, as we said, metaverse, augmented reality generator. This is also coming. A drone traffic control. We're going to see drone traffic controllers coming. And you'll see simplicity engineer and workplace productivity specialist. These are the jobs that coming. Career pathways, this is something for you just for to know. If I want to be in cloud computing, I want to be application developer, I want to be cloud support associate, web development engineer, or like DevOps, machine learning specialist, or scientist, solution architect. These are the jobs. If you click on each one of them on AWS Educate, you can get to know what are the courses, where your passion, and what are technology. Meanwhile, down the road, there are few badges you can take in the same portal called AWS Educate. I created the Amazon Innovation and the Startup badge. If you need to look at the cloud literacy, this is for you non-technical, but there are many technicals. One, the Startup badge, how you look at it. These are the, if you want to develop Sumerian, like virtual reality, deep lens, and real-time AI, ML cameras, robotics, and all of these, as you can, if you want to be gaming, IoT specialist, all of that. So these are the things for you to learn from. According to Davos, 10 declining job: data entry, accounting, administrative, assembly, material recording, general operation, postal service clerks. And according to the World Economic Forum, these are the 10 jobs that's coming also. Coming in the near future, in the coming few years, which is like, if you look at them, 7 out of 10 are relevant to IT, data, machine learning, innovation, and technology. So this is for you to know, and we're trying to show you what are the jobs, what are the career pathways, what are the technology, and what you need to do in order that. These are the technology from AWS. All the solutions that you saw, it's a mix and match from all of that. So there's like, you can customize whatever you need, integrate 2 components, 3 or 4 or 5 to create a solution. So I'll show you a real world story. I have 10 minutes to show you clearly, but this is a real case that there's a hackathon like your hackathon in Bahrain. We did it 2019. The winners on the left-hand side, they won the first place. It was initial, I'll show you a short video around it. That's a solution they won. And this shows 3 or 4 things. First of all is the camera that can recognize the hand movement, and it can translate it into word, then into an order, into Alexa, and translate it from English. When it says welcome, it translated to Ahlan bika to Arabic. Those shows 4 or 5 technology, but this also another solution that they won with. They translated it into smart home, and they could control.
Okay.
So that started, and when I said accumulated, the same student who won the hackathon, like your hackathon, they tried to take it to the next level. If you remember, we said evolution. Then they started working like this. This shows in green the letter, and in blue is the accuracy in artificial intelligence and learning, machine learning. And this shows this is the first step. They did it to take it to the next level. And as I said, accumulative. And I said, if you can see in red is the letter, recognize the letter. And that was something. Then they moved it into avatar. And that they moved, translate the real world, recorded it, and they made the robot imitate the real world, real action. Then they moved this, and this is one of their products. If you can look at this, I'll show it to you.
Coronavirus is an infectious disease which has infected 84,882 people in Bahrain.
So this was the first time in the world that happens. It's using AI, real time, and this is the other way around. I'll show it to you. This is taking the sign language into voice, which is the opposite.
Hello.
And you can see in the red the translation.
You.
And this was very sophisticated. Each bone in the hand, in the two hands with the gesture.
Welcome.
And you can see the green is recognizing the hand, the bones. And this was the first time in the world happened with students like you in Bahrain. And if you look at it, it translates the letter
A
when it doesn't recognize the word. Bahrain, A-I-N. And this is something happened in university, a senior project. Another project that happened in one of our cloud innovation centers, if you can see in Cal Poly in California, the University of Santa Monica said that the student, they rent a scooter, electric, and they hit people on the sidewalk, ala rasif, and they asked us to solve it. We created, if you can see in the middle, we created camera sensors that can differentiate the sidewalk, الرصيف من الشارع, and whenever السكوتر بيطلع على الرصيف, it shuts down, بيطفي كليا. And this is something, an idea came to solve a problem and tap in the opportunity. This one happened in Vancouver. This is also COVID. They could not tell, like every country in the world and every hospital, they could not tell in reality if this is when it was COVID-19. Is it infected? How long has it been infected? Does it need oxygen? When does it need to go in غرفة الإنعاش? When does it need oxygen? When it need to be admitted? And we created we labeled around 50,000 scan. Now through a mobile application anywhere, نحكي في مدينة بعيدة ما فيها specialist أشعة, through mobile application طبيب عام واخذ الصورة للCT scan, and it can tell them immediately how long has been infected, قديش في أكسجين بالرئة, متى بحاجة لدخول لغرفة إنعاش. This is something happened. We have multiple other solutions like that, but I wanted to leave the space for you if anybody has a question, either here or you want to send it there. If you need me to explain a specific thing, if you have a question بالعربي والإنجليزي ما في مشكلة. You can type it and I can respond to you. Hola? Any question about technology? You need anything about the hackathon, how to frame the idea, how to test the idea? You need to do a lot of research, a lot of work. If I can advise on anything around innovation, invention, exnovation, technologies, any software you need to help you in your project in the hackathon, just please raise your hand. You can ask directly, speak in Arabic, in English. You can type the question, so I can help you. If you have anything that's not clear for you, just ask. Is it clear? Is it something we can help you more with to help you, inshallah, to win in this hackathon? Everything is clear. Speak in Arabic if you want. It's okay, and even in Arabic I can reply to you. فما في مشكلة. Anybody wants to ask about anything about the technology, anything about the some of the ideas that I showed, I can share with you some of the source code, some of the technologies, how it was done. Anything you need, maybe in your ideas, even if you have ideas and participating, if you need, let's say, a guidance or support, just please go ahead. You can type or you can call, speak. I have 4 minutes to wrap up. Any question is a valid question. Don't underestimate. Some questions are the simple question that unleash a very big potential thing. So don't worry and go ahead. I think I'll stop sharing my screen. Fatima, I think we have what? Could you please tell us more about the process making ideas come to real life? What are the most important things to know? It's a very good question. As you can see, you need to focus on the problem or the opportunity. And I showed a lot around the design thinking. And when we look at it, you need to filter that the idea is applicable and to solve real world problem. I give an example. When we saw the Amazon Go and we saw the sign language, when we saw the CT scan for COVID patients, when we saw a proof of address certificate, they are all solving real world problem. The problem is with a lot of hackathons. I ran more than 35 hackathons in the last 20 years, and I worked with more than 30,000 students. The problem with them, they take the technology and they try to find a solution or that it solves something. And this is the opposite way. This is the wrong way. You take a problem and then you try to find a solution for it. So to make it real world, we said iterative and we said prototyping. And the prototyping has 3 or 4 levels. First of all, you do the empathy. I need to define the exact customer. I need to define the exact problem. When I do that, when I do the storyboard, I imagine what needs to be done, all of that. Then I start evaluating what are the technologies that might solve my problem, not the technology I work and I find the problem for it. It's not like that. Some people, if I say in Arabic, some people they say معي حبتين أسبرين عندك صداع ليهم صح? And this is the way that most of the people they start from the technology. No, I start من الصداع. I start investigating ليش الصداع معي. في عندك للعلم في 76 سبب يسبب الصداع. Then if I do little bit of research and analysis and discovery, I can find out it's السنان ولا المعدة ولا الراس ولا الدماغ ولا الشرايين ولا القلب ولا كذا. Then I can define the exact solution. It's not like when I get حبتين aspirin, then I try to find عايز ادور لهم على صداع. لا. You need to follow up exact problem, exact customer, Is it solving an opportunity? What is the most important benefit that the customer will get? And then I start defining what technology that can solve this. Then I need to put some measures and metric. For example, in many of those examples, I didn't mention the metrics. أعطيكي مثال البروبلم تبعت أحواض السمك we had 53 tanks and we had 90% 90% من الأسماك الصغيرة البيوض بتموت. when we know the solution لقينا انه الاكسجين بيفرق بنزل الاكسجين ودرجه الحراره بتنزل على 3 درجات مع الاكسجين بنزل 2% بيموت اغلب السمك. فذات was the problem. Then we need to find a solution. We find out انه في IoT sensors to measure الحراره والهاي واي اختلاف بسيط immediately يا اما بتبرد المي اذا سخنه او بتسخن المي اذا بارده بتضخ اكسجين او بتوقف ضخ اكسجين on the spot. and هنا احنا حلينا عرفنا اول شيء المشكله عرفنا شو potential solution then we solved it. فهنا بصير. If my question is clear, if you want further I can explain more. Is it clear? My pleasure. Any question else? Any other question? I can explain further if you want. أهم شيء when you solve a problem and you find out you do a lot of research that the problem is genuine or the opportunity is genuine. We'll give 1 minute and then if no questions, I'll get it back, give the mic back to the Fatima and the host. I expected this. Okay. Yes, for solar, water, we had this for sustainability, and this is a great question because it's rarely people heard about the X-Novation. I'll tell you, X-Novation, when you reach the stage, either you cannot innovate more or the innovation died. I give you 2 examples of the good, they call it the good X-Novation and the bad X-Novation. The bad X-Novation, if you remember, I'll give you like Nokia or BlackBerry, or some of the Blockbuster and all of these, is they thought, like I'll give you an example, like BlackBerry, they thought their PPM reach a stage that is going to stay forever and people dependent on it, and this will last. And they thought that they reached the perfection. And they missed 3 or 4 things. They missed interoperability. They missed multi-platform. They missed that not everyone has a BlackBerry and not everyone will stay BlackBerry. And also they missed the user experience and they felt that they reached the X-Novation, which means the perfection, and they no innovation further, and they were killed immediately by because CPM, the language, and the Symbian and Java and all of that disappeared, and you got a visual user experience, multi-platform, cloud-based applications, and something better, and that died. This is they call it the bad negative side of X-Novation. The good side of innovation, I can give you multiple examples. When you reach a level of maturity and innovation that you rarely or you take long time to re-innovate. I give you example. If you go back to let's bring Mercedes cars. Mercedes cars, they used to bring, and if you remember البطة والتمساح والقرش ونص ودول كانوا يقعدوا 10 years without major innovation, and they kept the same shape, the same thing, they innovate, and this is something called innovation. Meanwhile, X-Novation, and every 10 years it used to be like, I'll give you an example, 1965 till 1975 one model, 1975 85 one model, 85 95 one model, 95 2005 one model. But with the outside impact, some people, they started innovate better and faster and more innovative, so they need to put it from 10 years to 5 years, and in order to compete. But also lately, I'll give you another good example about innovation, X-Novation. They reach a stage, if you remember that, if you notice the new Mercedes, they tried to do the same dashboard for almost all cars and even entry level. Why? Before they had like 72 types of Mercedeses, and each one of them has its own dashboard, its own front end and all of that. And imagine how much they need to commit 20 years to keep everyone with own spare parts, with own الجدة اللي يسموها الجدة الكهرباء والأسلاك والقطع الغيار. And they made a one thing. If you saw it on the S and E, on CLA, on CLS, and C, it's one dash that makes them Exnovate, and they put innovation once, but they make it replicable for everyone. And this is one type of Exnovation. I hope I explained, but this is something like it's a big thing, but thanks for the question. It's rarely people touch there. As for sustainable projects, we have many of them. It's just you need to tap on the problem. I give you the ground station as a service. This is something I can count: the solar panel, the differentiation. I showed you about pollution. There are a lot of things that been done with the ground station. Many of those things can be utilized, but yes, you need to define the problem and the opportunity first, and you empathize from there, and we solve it with technology. Hope that this answered Dr. Ahmed. My pleasure. So with this, I think we conclude.